Gooniyandi country in the central Kimberley. And tour guide Ronnie Jimbity is feeling musical.
Tell full glory, always into just in time. It's a gospel song. We don't have God's number, but we can pray and give him the call.
The residents of the tiny community of Mimby may have a line to God, but they struggle to communicate with the outside world. There's no mobile reception here. The only access to phone and internet is at Ronnie's house, where his family has installed a Wi-Fi system to run their tourism business. The community is on a waiting list to get a mobile phone tower. Residents are worried they're unable to make contact in an emergency.
Bad things happening, we get like snake bites and bushfire and accident to happen, as we all know, and we need that service. We need that phone thing happening at all time.
Across regional Australia, many small towns, farms and Aboriginal communities are still operating without mobile phone reception and internet access. In some cases, the infrastructure doesn't exist. In others, locals can't afford to install it or are confused by the highly technical array of options available. And during the peak of the COVID pandemic, the lack of connectivity caused chaos.
It was insane. It was so busy, it was just madness.
Staff at the Nindalingari Health Service, which covers 40 remote communities, were bombarded with requests for help from infected residents who couldn't register online for assistance.
Because if you didn't register, you weren't eligible for your food packages or food deliveries or any of the other things that you needed. So it was massive, and I could have had another 15 staff and not had enough people to answer the phones. It was incredible.
While life has largely returned to normal, health workers are still stuck with a sluggish internet connection.
I know it's remote and it's probably never going to be as good as Perth or Sydney or whatever, but it's very, very bad. It's 20, 30 years behind, if I'm honest.
The latest government data shows the number of Australians connecting online is increasing. But 11% of the population remains classified as highly excluded from the digital world. That's almost 3 million people. Regional residents still lag behind those in capital cities. And the digital divide is even greater when it comes to Indigenous Australians. And the situation could be even worse than the data shows, because until now, people in remote Aboriginal communities were never even surveyed.
And we're talking about, the most vulnerable, low-income people in the country, not able to access the services that are critical and targeted at the most vulnerable people.
Daniel Featherstone is part of a research team touring remote Australia, gathering data and witnessing firsthand the lack of telecommunications. In one community, a man had his bank account shut down because the phone line was so bad the call centre thought he was a scammer. He had to fly 500 kilometres to reopen it.
There's a huge amount of frustration out there. People are basically all calling to get improved services and for those services to be affordable.
The federal government's committed to making all of its services available online by 2025, but says face-to-face options such as Centrelink offices will remain.
We won't see any reduction in the number of Centrelink and Medicare offices beyond what we've inherited, so that's good.
That's little consolation to those living remotely, who have the most to gain from online services, but still aren't logged on. So we're outside your house here, Nina. How much reception have we got?
We've only got a 1 bar, 3G.
All right, so it says calling.
Yeah. No, couldn't get it now.
Katrina Sherrill lives at the Mullager community. She says they've been promised a mobile phone tower, but don't know when it will be installed.
Our phone reception, we only get it in certain places. I get it on my veranda.
When Katrina needs to pay a bill or send a text, she heads to the one spot where 4G kicks in.
I'll just have to put my chair here, sit down and see if I can get a reception here or over there. We've been waiting for a while and we need to have something out here too.
So if ever I come to Mullager, I'm looking for you, I'll just look up to this spot on the veranda and you'll probably be standing
I'll probably be here.
A daily routine she hopes won't be needed much longer. Erin Park, ABC News in the Fitzroy Valley.